You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Oh yeah, baby, that's lovely.
Good morning. It's October the 20th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News, your psychedelic and cannabis news source found here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca. Just so you notice, Cindy has the day off. Before I get started, though, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons first. Alrighty, first story of the day. It comes to us from Marijuana Moment. The headline there says, legalizing marijuana helps cancer patients reduce opioid use, federally funded study says. Legalizing cannabis for medical or recreational purposes is significantly associated with reduced opioid use among patients diagnosed with cancer, according to a new federally funded study published by the American Medical Association. Now, examining prescription drug claims data from an average of more than 3 million patients annually from 2007 to 2020, the researchers found significant reductions in the rate of patients with cancer with opiate prescriptions, the mean daily supply, and the mean number of prescriptions per patient after medical and recreational cannabis dispensaries openings. The study's findings indicate cannabis may be a substitute for opioids in the management of cancer-related pain, the paper says, which was published last week in the Journal of American Medical Association Health Forum, and was funded by a grant from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Now, the analysts showed that reductions in opioid prescription rates in the daily supply were greater when dispensaries actually opened when states initially changed their laws to allow for medical cannabis use, highlighting the potential impact of easier cannabis availability. There were no significant differences in opioid use as a result of cannabis reform based on age, sex, or race or ethnicity. Indicating that dispensary openings may influence opioid prescriptions patterns similarly across demographic subpopulations, the paper says, suggesting that cannabis availability may help diverse patients. Missed this spot. Change the patients to equally manage cancer-related pain if the observed reductions reflect substitution to cannabis. Now, the researchers recommended that future studies explore individual level impacts, the mechanisms underlying these changes, and the long-term effects of cannabis policies on cancer pain management. Now, the overall results are consistent with prior research suggesting that cannabis may serve as a substitute for opiates in managing pain. There you go. Just exactly what we need. Research showing that cannabis can make a difference in the opioid epidemic that we got going on here in North America, because it's obviously killing lots of people, and cannabis is making a difference, not only in these different states and different countries by reducing prescriptions, but it's also helping people in these cannabis substitution programs and assisting them in order to make life better for them and make their way off of the harder drugs. So, alrighty, on to my next story of the day. Headline comes to me from StratCan. Headline says, Direct delivery, a double-edged sword for BC cannabis industry amid strike. Now, the strike has shut down BC's central cannabis warehouse and delivery system since September 22 and has created challenges for the industry as well as opportunities, according to some producers and retailers. Now, on October the 17th, the BC government and the BC Government Employees Union agreed to take mediation 7 weeks into a strike that has shut down many public services in the province. Job actions at the LDB warehouse will continue during this time, as well as picket lines at all 40 of the provincially run BC cannabis stores. While the closure of the BC DBS central warehouse has meant it cannot accept new deliveries from producers or ship out weekly orders to retailers, the province's direct delivery system has proven to be somewhat of a relief valve, providing a path for at least some products to continue making their way to retailers. Now, this program is not without its own challenges and shortfalls, though, and doesn't always deliver the kinds of products all consumers are looking for. James McKinnon, the co-owner of At-Eze Cannabis, says, direct delivery was really designed for the craft industry. But as an owner, I know 80% of my business is budget buyers. So they come in and see the prices and what I can supply, but they aren't seeing their $70 to $90 ounces. Now it's almost double the price. We got the rug slipped out from under us, and there's nothing we can do. I can't get money from a bank. This all comes out of my own pocket, he says. And he finishes off by saying, we're all hurting. The need to understand what they're doing to private business owners. So there you go. The strike in BC is affecting the stores and the owners and the bottom line in the end. So, all right. From BC, we're going to head to the, not quite. I would say we're going to head across the country, but we're not quite there yet. I got a study I want to bring up first before we get into that. And for there, just so you know, is that it's a study on dementia. And the headline there from the story, it's from Cannabis Health News UK. It says, medical cannabis and dementia. What does the evidence say? Does it help people with dementia? Is it a good, bad, what? We'll find out. As the prevalence of dementia and other neurodegenerative conditions continues to rise globally, there is a growing interest in the role of cannabis-based medicines in symptom management. A smaller number of studies combined with real-world clinical experience is beginning to provide important insights into the potential of cannabinoids such as CBD and THC for managing symptoms and improving quality of life. But the evidence base remains limited, and there is need for more robust clinical trials to understand the long-term safety and effects. Now, Alzheimer's disease, which causes a decline in cognitive and functional abilities, is a type of dementia which, along with vascular dementia, makes up the majority of the cases. It is also the most common neurodegenerative disease globally. There is currently no cure for treatments or focus on symptom management rather than slowing the disease progression. So they're just working on trying to make people more comfortable versus trying to cure it. Now, a number of studies have explored whether medical cannabis could be used to treat some of these symptoms, such as easing aggression, agitation, and anxiety, which are commonly seen among patients. Meanwhile, certain cannabinoids such as CBD, THC, and CBN have been highlighted as a potentially having neuroprotective properties, preventing cell death and damage to the brain. Now, in a 2022 review, researchers evaluated the neuroprotective potential of cannabis with a particular focus on its efforts in dementia and Alzheimer's disease. They found strong evidence to support the idea that cannabinoids have neuroprotective properties and could have a role in treating common neurodegenerative diseases. Now, according to the paper, several phytocannabinoids, terpenes, and select flavonoids demonstrated neuroprotection through a myriad of cellular and molecular pathways. Now, these findings provide strong evidence for a role of cannabis constituents individually or in combination as potential neuroprotectives, timely to the emergent use of medical cannabis as a novel treatment for neurodegenerative diseases, the authors concluded. They went on to recommend further randomized controlled trials and clinical studies to substantiate these initial findings. And laboratory research provides a scientific basis on these effects, as cannabinoids act on pathways involved in brain inflammation and cell death, possibly affording a degree of neuroprotection. Now, this potential should be tempered by the reality that research is still in the early stages. Now, results from existing trials are promising. There is not enough evidence, they say, to prove cannabis is an effective long-term treatment for dementia, but cannabinoids have not been linked to any disease-slowing effects, but they might, if confirmed in future studies, offer a safer way to manage symptoms. That's right. There you go. You just never know. Down the road, more information will come out as these studies are done, and we'll make sure that if we see them, that we bring them up. So, all right, now we're going to head over to the East Coast. We're going to head to Nova Scotia because CBC headline says Nova Scotia man. Man who used psychedelic tea in spiritual ceremonies sentenced. The 52-year-old Nova Scotia man charged with drug offenses linked to spiritual ceremonies he led on his rural home using hallucinogenic brew from the Amazon will avoid a criminal record in the case so long as he follows a 3-year prohibition order. Now, Nova Scotia Supreme Court Justice Josh Arnold ordered the conditional discharge last week for Michael At-Eze, whose lawyer had argued a record would hamper his future attempts to travel to Peru to take part in ceremonies involving the tea called ayahuasca. Now, Arnold said, given the deterring effect of the prohibition conditions and the constellation of factors in the case, public confidence in the effective enforcement of criminal law would not be tarnished by the imposition of a conditional discharge. Now, At-Eze was charged following an RCMP raid in November of 2022 during an ayahuasca ceremony at his yurt outside of Annapolis Royal, Nova Scotia. He and his supporters have argued the ceremonies can be life-changing, improving wellness and helping attendees deal with trauma. At-Eze initially fought the charges, arguing they violated his religious freedom rights. But he pleaded guilty in May to the importation and possession of the purpose of trafficking for DMT, which is a substance which is illegal here in Canada, but which is a crucial component of ayahuasca. Now, the prosecution in the case argued ayahuasca can be dangerous and have serious side effects, including for people with heart conditions. Now, the defense argued that At-Eze screened participants in ceremonies were done safely. Among the conditions of a 3-year prohibition are 200 hours of community service, a requirement to keep the peace and be of good behavior and not possess or consume DMT or 2 other substances while he's in Canada. In an interview outside the courtroom, his lawyer, Asif Rashid, said the conditional discharge was crucial for his client, as a criminal record would hinder his ability to travel. In particular, he said his advocate wants to travel to Peru to attend ayahuasca ceremonies. So he wants to, continue with his medication and stuff. So yeah, there you go. He got himself a conditional discharge 3 years of being good, and he will move on, be able to travel, and he won't serve any jail time as well. So, all right, on to my last story of the day. And this one is coming to me from StratCan, where the headline there says, Alberta's first cannabis farm gate store prepares to open its doors. A former hydroponic supply store near Calgary is poised to become Alberta's first cannabis farm gate store. Guerrilla Garden Supplies, a micro-producer in Okotoks, recently received its cannabis farm gate license from Alberta's regulator, the AGLC. Now, the farm gate license allows a cannabis producer in the province to sell cannabis products produced at its processing cultivating facility directly to consumers from a store at the production facility. Now, the AGLC began accepting the applications on July the 2nd for what it calls the Cannabis Supplier Retail Store License. Now, Jason Squires, the owner of Guerrilla Garden, says he quickly applied when the new rules were announced, receiving his license from the AGLC on October the 8th. The farm gate license will allow Guerrilla Garden Supplies to sell products grown or processed on site and sold under its brand. Squires says he wants to focus on offering unique products not already available in Alberta. He says, we want to be able to offer exclusive products, not competing with stores that already sell our products, but offering different formats that people can't buy anywhere else and providing exclusive drops at our farm gate. Although he hopes to open on November the 1st, Squire says he's still waiting for a few final details from the AGLC that will allow him to complete the official transfer of his products from the federally licensed production facility in the back to the provincially regulated retail store in the front. Once the final step is completed, he is expected to get going. More long-term down the road, he hopes to begin developing an open-air patio consumption space on his property and a space for food trucks. He says, I think the farm gate can really open the doors to consumptions and cafes. That's what Farmgate needs to operate, is a safe space to be able to consume as well. I think there's a big tourism model with Farmgate, he says, and I wish I had a larger facility that I could show off. People want to see what's going on and how it's produced. He says he plans on offering cannabis clones from the Farmgate store next spring. Good stuff. Get those clones up there for sure. All right. That's it. That's the news for today. I hope you found it educational and informative. Thanks to our friends at the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, At-Eze.ca, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca, and to you, our viewers. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for sharing the news, letting everybody know what's going on. That's how everybody finds out, right? So, other than that, catch our next Psychedelics and Cannabis educational news broadcast this Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. And don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.